All right, everyone. Well, welcome and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Startup Skills for Artists. Are you ready for an agent? My name is Robbie Otley, and I am the Programs and Resources Associate at the Association of Performing Arts Professionals. Before we get started, let's review a few technical items to ensure that everyone is properly set up to participate. We're using a new webinar platform for today, so we'd ask that you bear with us for any potential technical difficulties. We're also not using the video functionality during today's webinar, so we would ask that you not enable that feature. During today's webinar, you will have the opportunity to ask questions and provide comments using the chat function. To ensure that the chat feature is visible, you may need to click the button at the bottom of the Zoom window labeled Chat. Within the chat, check that the Send To drop-down menu says Everyone before you submit. That way we can all see your remarks. If you have comments or questions of a sensitive nature, feel free to send to the moderator by selecting APAP in the Send To drop-down menu. Today's webinar features a distinguished group of speakers who will be discussing their experience with relationships between artists, agents, and managers. We'll have an opportunity for Q&A and comments at the end of the webinar, but feel free to use the chat box throughout the webinar, not just during the Q&A. We'll also be recording this webinar to post on our website within the next few days. We are welcoming some new colleagues to APAP in this webinar, so I'd like to take a moment to introduce our organization. The Association of Performing Arts Professionals is a national service and advocacy organization with nearly 1,600 organizational and individual members. Our members include artists, agents, managers, presenters, producers, and others from North America and beyond. We offer many professional development opportunities, such as this webinar, and programming at our annual conference to support today's and tomorrow's arts industry leaders. And you can learn more by visiting us online at apap365.org. Our annual conference, APAP NYC, takes place in New York City every January and is the world's leading gathering of performing arts professionals. APAP NYC 2020 takes place January 10th through 14th, so mark your calendars now. So let's kick things off. I'll introduce Mario Garcia Durham, APAP President and CEO, for a few remarks. Mario.
Great. Thank you very much, Robbie. I want to thank you all very much for joining this webinar. And I'd like to give very special thanks to Laura Kanan, Derek Evans, Craig Hankerson, and the amazing Dr. Manuel Prestamo. We want to thank you for having volunteered to assist us today. And on behalf of the staff and the board and membership and myself, I wanted to give you all a very warm welcome. And those that are listening, whether you're a first timer or just experiencing APAP, or whether you're just wanting to build your knowledge and skills, we're thrilled about your interest and your participation. And at APAP, we strive to provide not only a valuable conference experience, but outside of the conference, we want to keep you enlightened, we want to inform you, and most importantly, we want to offer value for your work and career. So again, on behalf of all of us here at APAP, thanks again to Laurel, Derek, Craig, and Manuel. We welcome you, and I'm going to turn it back over to you, Robbie. Thank you.
Yeah, and I will turn it directly over to Krista Bradley, our Director of Programs and Resources here at APAP. She'll introduce our webinar today.
Thanks, Robbie. Thanks, Mario. Welcome, everyone. We'll be discussing the process of engaging an agent or manager today, including how agents work, typical fees, showcasing, and when artists are prepared to find and approach potential agents or managers. Our speakers today are Dr. Manuel Prestamo, Laurel Kanan, Derek Evans, and Craig Hankerson. Manuel Prestamo is the recipient of the 2018 Mary Beth Treen Arts Management Award and president of PMI, Performance Management International. He has worked throughout the US, Europe, the Far East, and all of the Americas as a conductor, presenter, university administrator, and artist manager. Laurel Kanan has been in the arts industry for 20 years, bringing a unique perspective as both a former presenter and booking agency owner with experience in all facets of arts management. Laurel is immediate past president of NAPAMA, or the North American Performing Arts Managers and Agents Association, and in 2016 served as co-chair of the Arts Midwest Conference. She earned her MPA from Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana, and we're happy to have you. Derek Evans has been an actor all his adult life. He trained for the theater at NYU, Northwestern University, and the American Conservatory Theater. He has performed his one-man show, The Man in the Arena, across the country from California to Vermont. Craig Hankerson is the president of Producers Incorporated, and previously was the chair of the FAME department at the University of South Florida and served on the Performing Arts Committee for the National Endowment for the Arts, among many other experiences in the performing arts field. He received his bachelor's and master's degree from the Eastman School of Music. It's a great lineup, and you're in for a wonderful afternoon. So now I'll hand it off to Manuel to lead today's conversation. Manuel? Oh. Manuel? We are unmuting you, Manuel. Now we can hear you.
Well, thank you very much. We're delighted to be here. And our panelists have worked together on this presentation numerous times. We thought we would start today by just noting that there can be a slight difference between agents and managers. An agent generally is someone that is thought of as bringing an artist to the attention of a presenter in an effort to generate contracts and engagements that will pay them fees. The managers, on the other hand, will generally focus on providing guidance and support to the artist and their career, not always including the actual booking of engagements themselves, although they could. Some agencies provide both of the services, and today we're going to focus primarily on the role of the agent, meaning those that are seeking to secure engagements for their artists. Having said that, our next slide is going to deal on how agents will evaluate the readiness of an artist, and Laurel is going to walk us through that set of topics. So, Laurel?
Now unmuted. Hi, I'm really excited to be here with all of you today. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. I keep getting different messages. Anyways, what do we look for when we're approached by an artist that is looking for agency representation? The first thing that we'll do is we go to your website and your social media presence. I always advise artists that your website is your calling card. It's the first place where potential representation is going to go look. If you're already performing, it's the first place that bookers are going to look, and it's well worth the money to create a very nice, clean, easy to follow website. That being said, social media presence is extremely important. We're hearing now from a lot of presenters that are also checking social media presence and checking number of followers, likes, and looking at different platforms to see how much people know you. The other thing that we'll look at next are videos and audio samples. In a perfect world, we would love to come and see you perform live, see how you interact with an audience, see how you sparkle on stage, chemistry with your musicians or accompanist, and it's really easy for us to get a feel for your artistic quality. The next thing we'll look at are obviously video samples. We always tell people, please put the money into a really good, sharp video. 2 or 3 camera shoot works best. Yes, we know they're expensive, but a lot of times you may be able to trade off an artist fee for a venue and ability to shoot a really good, clean video. Something that's posted front of house, typically it's nice, it's okay to use, but it doesn't give us a really good sense. That's the first thing our buyers are going to look for too, is video. Photographs, put the money into good headshots. Another thing we tell people is don't pose with your instrument so that it looks like a senior picture. Make it interesting, engaging, because those photos will be the photos that presenters will probably want to use in their advertising material. So really good high-res photos are best. And we'll look at reviews and also printed materials. So we'll look forward to any questions that you might have on that.
Great. Thanks, Laurel.
Thank you.
Okay, so
On our next topic, have we got any other comments from our panelists on this initial slide, readiness of the artist? Hearing none, let's go on to our next slide, identifying an agent. How would an artist go about identifying an agent? And for that, Derek is going to cover the subject for us. Derek?
hey, Derek, you're unmuted.
I'm on. Oh, thank you. Okay. Well, I've been earning my living more or less all my life as an actor, and I have done it with and without agents. And for me, the answer to the question is with an agent. I'm not a good salesman. I don't like selling myself, and I'm not a good closer. So I want to work with. You can find them if you are like me and wanting to work with an agent. You can find them in the program books at all of the regional conventions and at APAP. They all have websites. You need to look at those websites and see what exactly it is that these agents do. You have to find an agent who is in your wheelhouse and who has a sympathetic understanding of what it is you want to accomplish artistically. I mean, obviously, if you are a balloon folding artist, you don't want to go with an agent who specializes in modern dance groups. You need somebody who has the Rolodex that's good for approaching variety artists. The conferences are the best place to find them. The only real rule there is never approach an artist, an agent, when they're working on the exhibit hall floor. That is not the time to introduce yourself and say, "I need an agent. Would you like to represent me?" That's it. Am I out of time already?
No,
you've got.
Oh, okay. I heard the bleep go. Oh, well, and do your homework if you're looking for an agent. Look at their websites. Talk to people. Talk to other agents. By all means, if you're new in this business, go to the regionals and take advantage of the mentoring projects. They're very, very good, and they can help you out enormously. When I first approached the agent that I thought I wanted to work with, I had talked to dozens and dozens of people, and I was able to send this lady an email in which I said that Laurel Kanan and Jennifer Morris and Sue Birch had all said, "You're the one to represent me." So that got us off on a good footing. And the next topic here is how to determine if they're a good match. I think I've got time for a real quick anecdote. My current agent, Manuel, our fearless leader today, he and I did a little mini tour out in Arizona in February. 2019 is the 100-year anniversary of the incorporation of the Grand Canyon into the National Park Service. Theodore Roosevelt, as you may know, is the great godfather of the conservation movement in America, and this is big stuff out there. And Manuel was able to find a guy who was the chairman of the Grand Canyon Conservancy. And we got to work with him. We talked to Arizona State University. We talked to a number of historical theaters, and with an awful lot of back and forth and negotiating and canoodling and one thing and another, we were able to put together this wonderful little tour. We did 5 theaters in 6 days, including a performance in the Grand Canyon. Say that's a good match. I think I'm out of time now.
Well, that was very good, Derek. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Would anyone like to add something to the subject of identifying the agent or when to best approach one? I would say if you find 1 or 2 or 3 that you're interested in and would appear to be a good match, as Derek said, leave a business card with them at the conferences and just let them know. You'll hope to follow up with them thereafter, or perhaps ask them when's a good time to initiate a contact with them to begin a discussion of the possibility of a mutual interest at representation.
And
With that in mind, fees and services are an important part of the makeup of the relationship between agents and managers and artists. And to cover that topic, we have a combination of presentations which will be done by Laurel and Craig. And Laurel is going to start us off on the subject of fees and charge to the artist and how those work, as well as commissions. Laurel?
Thanks. I wanted to add a quick note too on identifying an agent. Right now, we're getting a number of like form letter inquiries from people looking for representation. I would suggest, Derek's point about doing your research is extremely important, but B, personalize those notes. We would like, tell us why you think we should be interested in you rather than just sending out a generic form. Transitioning back to fees and services. Are there fees charged to an artist? Yes and no. There are agencies that will charge an annual artist representation fee, which they use to help underwrite attendance at conference, printing, travel to conference, and other expenses incurred. Some agencies don't charge a fee. The fees are vary from agency to agency that do charge fees. They can go anywhere from $500 up to, I've seen fees as high as $2,500. So that's a very important piece to talk about as you're negotiating with a potential agent. Commission rates most frequently charged. I've seen commission rates go from anywhere between 10 and 20%, depending on the work that that agent or manager will be doing for you. Usually on the higher end of the spectrum, the 20%, they're working on with you on marketing materials. They're helping to do tour sheets, help do show advance for you, and a number of other items. So the commission rate is negotiable based on what your expectation is that that artist, manager, or agent will be doing for you. Do any of our panelists have any input on that as well?
I would say one thing on the fees, you would be well advised to inquire at great length as to if there's a standard fee that's charged. What does it include? What does it cover? Are there going to be other ongoing charges? It used to be some managements would charge you for every postage stamp and every envelope and every phone call, and others will cover that under one generic fee, and some will cover it under their own commission. So there are many variables to those fees, and you want to really explore those at great length to get a good sense of the bottom line and decide which one might best suit you and your own starting position on that. Any other comments from our panel?
That's a really good point, Manuel. Thank you for bringing that up.
Okay, well, let's continue then with the methods and tools of marketing that are utilized by agents in working with their artists. Craig?
Okay, the conferences attended with or without booth. Conferences, as mentioned earlier, are a good place to go to look at what is available for representation for you, and whether you want accommodation, agent, manager, etc. It's a good place to find that out. And conferences also, they're very expensive. It costs money to go there, the rooms, and the membership that is required. You need a membership in the professional organization to have a booth in their conferences, and so it's good to have a booth there if you can afford it. However, if it's a little out of your reach, it's good to go to the conferences simply to explore and look and see what is available. There are generally books, magazines, professional publications available to you if you're going attending a conference, or even if you aren't. There are ads available there. They are not as useful as they used to be in this age of the internet and the websites that can be very productive as an ad for your company, but you must get the information out about where your website is and to get people to go to your website. So the difference that the conference books and magazines generally have subscribers, and they go out to a large number of people who hopefully will see those. And the e-blasts, that is also a very good way to get your message out. However, your e-blast should be focused, really focused on one area of your presentation. There are 6 major companies out there that are available to handle your e-blast. One of the most popular is Constant Contact, but then there is also one called Drip. There's Sendinblue. There's MailJet, ConvertKit, etc. So you just need to decide what one is best for you and fits for you. Your website, it's very important that you have a website, and the email, the e-blast, etc., inform people of what your website address is. And then, of course, any opportunity you have to be a speaker or to become involved. And I guess the next is contract to be reviewed, and I think that is my category also.
I think I would add one thing before we go to the contracts to be reviewed. And thank you, Craig and Laurel, for everything you've covered so well. I would add one thing. It used to be back in the 70s, they were charging the artist representation fees, so it's not anything new. But back then, there was a tendency for an artist to sign on with an agent or manager and stay with them for the next 30 years. And it became almost a marriage. They really, really worked at developing that artist's visibility and their career. As time progressed, the time capsule has decreased. There's a tendency in all aspects of this profession, music directors that used to last for 10 to 15 years down to 3 years. And so I would encourage that you do your homework and that you find an agent you're really comfortable with, and then be fair to them, because there is a standard thing in the industry, you'll hear at other presentations, and that is that it frequently takes approximately 2 to 3 years to really get a new artist up and running and get them where they've got a nice stream of bookings. And so you don't lose hope. If you found an agent you really have faith in, give them a fair shake and let them have a 2 to 3 year window before you perhaps consider going shopping and seeing if the grass might be greener on some other side of the pasture. So with that, what about contracts, Craig?
I think we're out of time. I think we're down to showcases now.
Oh, we've got time for contract.
Okay, all right. So the contract between the artist and the agency, it really depends upon what you are covering as an artist, what needs to be covered. If you are producing shows, etc., as to the length of the contract. A contract can be 1 page or it can be 30 pages. And you know best what you would need in the contract, and a good agent will guide you in some of the restrictions that they want included. Of course, the terms are very important to be included in the contract, and you need to make very clear definition in the terms of what you're going to be doing, if there's any limitation on what you do, and of course the different fee structures that you may have. The renewal and termination clauses, actually, the contracts are often terminated on very short notice. Usually the contract between the artist and an agent gives a termination factor in there, but it's really not applicable very often. When if something happens where an artist wants to leave an agent, it's best just to get that done as quickly as possible without a long term of isolation. The performance contract, on the other hand, is extremely important. That is the contract between you and the presenter who is presenting you. And we're running out of time, so I'll go very quickly. Of course, the performance contract includes the terms, how much you will be paid, and includes everything as far as cancellation clauses or radius clauses, how the many presenters want you to be exclusive for a certain number of weeks and months. Then the tech writers explain everything regarding your stage plot, your sound, lights, hospitality is what you need as far as refreshments, or even if you are very busy in setting up, you may need your meal, your dinner to be served. And as far as negotiation, there are many different ways those fees can be. It can be a strict guarantee fee, or if you're willing to participate in this risk, there can be a fee, a low guarantee against a percentage after a certain level of tickets are sold, or it can be a straight percentage in some cases. When I was executive director of Saratoga Performing Arts Center, we had many contracts with percentages, and some artists were on straight percentage with 90% of the income, someone like Simon and Garfunkel's, for instance. So I think we're out of time too, Manuel, aren't we?
Well, let me ask you this. With the onset, more frequent nowadays, of the split contract, are there situations in which you're more likely to favor and be inclined to agree to a split contract?
Split contracts very often occur from the agencies when they're trying to support dates. When you're you have date booked for artists in a certain area, certain region, and you really desperately need to get more contracts, and so the artist is willing to share the risk, and it can be either percentages or it can be bonuses. You can state there is a fee, and then if the ticket revenue reaches a certain platform, there will be a bonus of, say, $1,000, or if it reaches a second platform, there'll be another $1,000, etc.
Very good. Anything else to add to this? Laurel? Okay. Well, let's go on to showcases, which, as Laurel had said, one of the ideal situations for an agent to be able to get to know an artist a little bit is always to see a live performance. Well, this is one case in which perhaps a showcase would be a good opportunity for an artist to consider not only using it to showcase, to have presenters get to know their own work, but also to invite agents to come and see their work. To talk about showcases, Derek is going to walk us through this topic. Derek?
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. The first item, I don't know, the first item here says a clever way. I'm not sure how clever this is, but I just bribed them. I have the United States Mint produces a $1 United States coin, the Theodore Roosevelt dollar coin. It's actual negotiable currency, American currency. So, and it's fun to hand people this thing. They keep it as a keepsake, and it's more memorable than any brochure I ever had. So that's the way I try to get them to come. As to the juried showcases, first of all, you got to remember that APAP doesn't have juried showcases, but the regionals do. The juried showcases, I believe, are the gold standard. The attendance is much better than for the indie showcases, but of course there's fierce. It's real hard to get a juried showcase, very difficult indeed. So the independent showcase is an extra way. The application for these showcases are you'll find the deadlines and all that sort of thing on the websites of the various regional and APAP's conference section. That sort of thing. There is, for the juried showcases, there's a website that I believe all of the regionals use. It's a website called I Want a Showcase, and you go there and you fill out an application, and there's a whole art to filling out that application. They can be expensive, quite expensive. You can have a 15-minute slot for an independent showcase. It'll cost you $500 up to, I've seen them at $1,500. And if you have the money, I would say I like to do two if I can, and do them a day apart. If you do one on a Tuesday night and another one on a Thursday night, there's a chance that somebody will see you on Tuesday and like what they see. Excuse me. And tell their friends. I would not, but it is expensive. And also it's an art form. A showcase is not like a show. It's more like a teaser. The purpose of it is to give them a sample of what you've got to offer and make them want to know more. And you should not expect to generate immediate dates. Among other things, if nothing else, the people, the presenters here who are looking for performances to put on their stages are mostly looking for dates 18 months out or thereabouts. So you wouldn't expect to get gigs right away. And very often people will see you at a showcase and they will not be able, even if they love you to pieces, they will not be able to put you into their current or their next season. They've already got the season booked. So you may wait 3 years to hear, even if you're lucky, even if you're scoring, you may wait that long to hear about it. I don't know about showcasing for every year for consecutive years, just because it is so expensive. There you got to have the hotel room, you got to pay the fees, et cetera, et cetera. I try to alternate, do two regionals each year and the other two the other years. And that, I think, is the sum of the wisdom that I have to offer on this subject.
Well, on the showcase and how soon you might expect the results, I will say you should not be discouraged if, in doing a showcase, you possibly end up with just one person in the room, because I've seen it happen where that one person was from a major venue, the Kennedy Center, and it resulted in a great boost to the artist. And then in another consideration, in terms of how long it may take to see the results and a rationale for repeated showcasing, I myself saw a showcase at APAP, which I loved, and I took all the material back, saved it, and kept sitting on it until 7 years later. I said to my staff, find the stuff on this particular artist, it's time. And when we got him, we put together a major tour for him, which launched his career and was of great help to him. Keep working on it and give it time. It should pay dividends over time. Anything else you'd like to add on showcases?
Well, I got an anecdote similar to yours, which might be relevant. Way back in the 1970s, when I was starting out with a little theater company doing educational programming, Shakespeare and stuff in schools, I produced a showcase of my own. I rented out a junior high gym and invited school teachers and PTA people and so forth and so on. And I sent hundreds of letters, handwritten, and it was, I put a huge amount of work into it. And one lonely guy showed up, just one, and a real lonely looking guy at that. Now, however, that he was the booker for a school district with 18 schools. And each of these had 2 cultural enrichment programs every year. And I got every one of them. So, that's how I was able to start my career. Is because of that one guy showed up at a showcase. So it does happen. It's kind of Pollyannish, but it does happen.
When you've looked for a showcase presenter to think about placing one of your artists in their room or a given room, what sorts of considerations have you grappled with, Laurel or Craig? Anything in particular? I know in part some of the things you will want to consider is the longevity of the room, its own reputation, the size of the room, and the number of stagehands, the amount of equipment that they will provide in terms of backline, if you need such, and pianos, all those considerations, which will impact the total cost of what a given showcase might be running in such a room. Anything else you'd like to add?
It's very important to market your showcases when you, especially if it's an independent showcase. You of course need to market, even if you have a juried showcase, to let as many presenters know you're showcasing as you can possibly contact. It's very rare, I know, Derek, that if one person shows up, it's that you get such a great result. I was asked to attend a showcase at APAP once, and of course there are hundreds of showcases at APAP, and artists wanted me to consider representing them. I did go to a showcase, which was right there in the registration area, great position on a small room, and there were bottles of wine, there was cheese, everything. I was the only person at his showcase. So, you know, it's very important to get quality informational material out, and to even make phone calls to try and get people to your showcase if you're showcasing. APAP is very, very challenging because there are so many in so many different locations, and some of the attractive showcases are off-site a distance. So when people go to those showcases, that's like 1 or 2 hours out of their schedule that is taken on a showcase.
And the other thing that we look for, I ran a showcase room at APAP for a number of years. Is finding a room that runs on time, especially at APAP, because, you know, as Craig said, you've got people that are trying to see as many showcases as they can in an evening, and if there's a room that's running way behind, that throws off potential buyers for you.
That is very important.
And the other thing that I would counsel artists on is you have 15 minutes to shine. This is your opportunity to show potential buyers what your artistry, and give them a feel for what you look like on stage and how you interact. The most frustrating thing for me when I was a presenter was to sit in the audience and have an artist talk about the programs that they do, the outreach that they do, when I'm there to hear them sing or perform. That's critical. You've got 15 minutes to capture someone's attention.
And programming is very important. You need to just examine your repertoire and determine what is the best received part of your show, and that you definitely want to include in your showcase to make it appealing. And if there's a variety in what you do, try and get as many examples of the different varieties of performance that you have in your show, so that someone, that, as Laurel said, so that the person out there is making a decision based upon really as much information on your show as possible can be put into that 15 minutes.
The other thing too, Derek, I'm going to digress and disagree with you. I think newer artists to the market need to budget and be ready to showcase at least 2 or 3 years in a row.
Well, I will defer to your expertise, Mike.
And as we started, and we were talking about the difference and crossover between agent and manager, I think that while it may seem as if in talking about showcases, we may have digressed a little bit, what I want to bring us back to is that we've now entered this gray area of where we're talking about the marketing of the showcase. and the content of the showcase. These are all things that a good agent will help the artist with. And as we say in this industry, that personal relationships are of critical importance. This is another place where the reputation and the connections of your agent or manager will be of great help, because you will not generally be the one taking the brunt of these marketing efforts and the phone calls and the email blasting, but this is going to be something that's going to be largely handled on your behalf by the agent, and the utilization of their reputation and their existing contacts to draw the audience to your showcase and to assist you in selecting a room with a reputation of staying on time and providing you good marketing services as well.
And one element that needs to be included too is you and your agent should should go, of course, onto the website of the conference and see who is attending the conference. Then ensure that you get information to everyone attending the conference about your showcase, and not with just one email. I really recommend 2, 3, or even 4 emails about showcases to the people who are attending a conference.
So with that, we're about to approach the conclusion, and we would love to hear from you. If you have any questions on any subject we've covered, or perhaps even anything we didn't get to talk about during our time together, please, by all means, submit questions to us now, and we will be happy to see if you're able to stump our panelists and see what kind of additional advice they might have on any subject related to the subject of Are You Ready for an Agent? Yes? So we will be awaiting your questions. In the meantime, I might suggest that when the webinar concludes, there is a collection of 27 videos that were done with the support of PAE and Florida International, and they're all available free of charge, one of which is on showcasing, but there are interviews from artists, agents, managers, presenters, all speaking and addressing various aspects of the performing arts field. And that should be of great help to you, and you may wish to check them out. The link has been provided for you to peruse them at your leisure. Anything else from the panelists that you'd like to add to the presentation today that we were not able to include as a
I would encourage artists that are beginning work with an agency to make sure at the start your rider and your stage plot and anything else technical related is important to get into the agent's hands and work with the agent so that it's clean and it has what the agent needs to share with potential buyers. That's the first thing. If someone's interested in you, presenter, that's the first thing they're going to ask for is to see a tech writer.
And I might just address the video, an artist's video. It is very important in today's market that you have videos available for potential presenters. You need one that is short, that's maybe I would say no longer than 4 or 5 minutes to really give the highlights of what you do. But many presenters, especially presenters of productions, want to see a video of the entire performance. And of course, that represents a major investment in most cases, but they are usually understanding to see the performance. It can be just a simple one camera shoot, or even a cell phone recording that is not technically very good, but it gives them a chance to see what your show is like. And some people, we have some buyers that will not book a production unless they can see a video of the entire performance.
I think one of the key elements is something that is a quote from Roosevelt that went something to the effect of, do the best you can with what you've got. We had a slide in which I don't think we talked very much about reviews. And yes, of course, ideally we'd all like to see that you come at us with a review from the New York Times. But if you don't have such a review as of yet, do let others speak for you and on your behalf, meaning as you do engagement, go back and stay in touch with each presenter and ultimately ask them for some kind of an endorsement that you could then share with others, perhaps post on your website, because other presenters will trust and rely on statements from their colleagues far more so than you stating on your own behalf just how good you are. Let them say that of you, and then just share that quote.
And a postscript to that, Manuel, when you have a very successful performance and a presenter really compliments you and you know it's genuine, ask them if they would be a reference for you, if you can refer people to call them to talk to you, talk about your performance.
Yes.
Those are really good points.
And I think we did not necessarily delve at much length into the selection of an artist by an agent and vice versa. There is quality. There is all the tools that we would love for you to have. If you don't have them all, we can advise you and work with you if you are willing to work with us to develop those materials. But somewhere in the mix, there's also this elusive element of just a love, a chemistry for what that artist does, how they present it, who they are, how they carry themselves. And the relationship should be one that is a mutually satisfying and rewarding experience for both of you, and one in which the agent is proud and eager to speak for you and to help you build your career and enlarge the collection of admirers that wish to have you on their stage and share you with their audience.
Manuel, do we have any questions from anyone who?
I do not see any questions on our question.
Oh, we actually do have a question coming in. Go ahead and read it. From Maria regarding showcases. If one choice is available, what's best, first day or last day of conference to showcase?
In the middle. Truthfully, we wrestle with this. The opening, the first night, people it's a travel day. There's usually an opening reception, and then people will probably go out for a quick dinner and go to bed, truthfully. Or that if they're in New York, they may use that first night to take advantage and see a show. But you know, I've seen it all. The last night of showcases can work well too, because your agent has talked up your showcase, talked about you with buyers in the hall, and now they want to come and see you.
Yeah, I'll second that emotion. I think if I have to choose one night, I'll choose the last one for sure.
It can be a little bit of a hit and miss in that we have seen it one year, everyone did all their selection, and then at the last minute, after everything was cast in stone and we couldn't change the course of the ship, that was the night that they scheduled the first national debate between Clinton and Trump, and we lost half the audience because of that. And in Baltimore, we had one where there was a torrential rain, and they wouldn't leave the hotel to walk a block and a half because they would have gotten completely drenched. So again, the first 2 hours of that night's of showcases went not well. I see there's a second question.
You never can predict that. It's just that, in choosing a time for when you're going to showcase, I think Laurel's excuse me, Laurel's suggestion is a very valid one, especially the regional showcases. The regional showcases generally, we have found, have a higher quality of attendance than the ones at APAP, because at APAP there's so many, as Laurel mentioned. Everybody's trying to get in as many as they can see as many as they can, and if one of the rooms is running off schedule, it's a very risky situation no matter what. Showcases are really a roll of the dice.
Let me get in one last quick question here, and it's a really good one, close to stumping the panelists, and that is, could you please speak a little bit more about how to know if you are ready for an agent? I would say one thing for sure is go back to the list of items we have shared with you today and see to what extent you have those items complete on your checklist. And that will be a very good indicator of your readiness to begin to approach an agent, because now you've got a good many, hopefully all, of the tools that they would be expecting to be able to have you provide to them so that they can jump in and start to market you and your work. And that would be very important. Another question very quickly is it possible to work with more than one agent? Would you encourage that or discourage that? Panelists?
Certainly there are a number of artists who are non-exclusive to any one agency. But from an agency standpoint, it is much, much better to have an artist who is exclusive to you, to your agency. Now you can share with another agency if that is prearranged, because we as agents, though we're in competition, we have a lot of instances where we work very closely together. However, when it's a grab bag, they can go anywhere and book you. I don't think you'll get as many results as if you focus on 1, 2, or 3 agencies.
Okay.
And I'm going to interject really quick. I know we're about out of time. Having more than one agency adds to a lot of market confusion. A buyer is not going to know who to talk to engage your services.
I think that's a very good point, and one that I strongly support as well. With that, Robbie,
Yes,
would you like
sir.
to take over?
Well, thank y'all so much for joining us, everyone who is on today's webinar, and special thanks to our panel, Manuel, Laurel, Derek, and Craig. Again, really great conversation, and much appreciate your expertise and sharing. APAP's monthly webinar series will continue on the first day of next month, which is next week, Thursday, August 1st at 3 p.m. Eastern. That's our small and mid-sized presenters in the United States, Stories and Perspectives webinar, and that's next Thursday. Check back on our website for more information about that webinar. Finally, we'll be sending out a brief survey about the webinar to our participants today. We'd appreciate your feedback on your experience. And that is all from us. Thank you once again, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.